It suddenly struck me that that tiny pea, pretty and blue, was the Earth. I put up my thumb and shut one eye, and my thumb blotted out the planet Earth. I didn't feel like a giant. I felt very, very small. I believe that every human has a finite amount of heartbeats. I don't intend to waste any of mine running around doing exercises. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Mystery creates wonder, and wonder is the basis of man's desire to understand. Shoot for the stars, but if you happen to miss, shoot for the moon instead. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. I am, and ever will be, a White Sox pocket protector, nerdy engineer, born under the second law of thermodynamics, steeped in steam tables, in love with free body diagrams, transformed by Laplace and propelled by compressible flow. The single observation I would offer for your consideration is that some things are beyond your control. You can lose your health to illness or accident. You can lose your wealth to all manner of unpredictable sources. What are not easily stolen from you without your cooperation are your principles and your values. They are your most important possessions and, if carefully selected and nurtured, will well serve you and your fellow man. Good luck, Mr. Gorski. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. It suddenly struck me that that tiny pea, pretty and blue, was the Earth. I put up my thumb and shut one eye, and my thumb blotted out the planet Earth. I didn't feel like a giant. I felt very, very small. Each book holds an experience and an adventure. Knowledge is fundamental to all human achievements and progress. It is both the key and the quest that advances mankind. The search for knowledge is what brought men to the moon, but it took knowledge already acquired to make it possible to get there. How we use the knowledge we gain determines our progress on Earth, in space or on the moon. Your library is a storehouse for mind and spirit. Use it well. Research is creating new knowledge. People love conspiracy theories. History is a sequence of random events and unpredictable choices, which is why the future is so difficult to foresee. I can't hear it, but the A is implied, so I'm happy if they just put it in parentheses. I would hope that history would grant me leeway for dropping the syllable and understand that it was certainly intended, even if it was not said, although it might actually have been. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. I guess we all like to be recognized not for one piece of fireworks, but for the ledger of our daily work. I think we're going to the moon because it's in the nature of the human being to face challenges. It's by the nature of his deep inner soul. We're required to do these things just as salmon swim upstream. I believe that every human has a finite number of heartbeats. I don't intend to waste any of mine running around doing exercises. Pilots take no special joy in walking. Pilots like flying. The important achievement of Apollo was demonstrating that humanity is not forever chained to this planet, and our visions go rather further than that, and our opportunities are unlimited. I can honestly say, and it's a big surprise to me, that I have never had a dream about being on the moon. Gliders, sailplanes, they're wonderful flying machines. It's the closest you can come to being a bird. I thought the attractions of being an astronaut were actually, not so much the moon, but flying in a completely new medium. In much of society, Research means to investigate something you do not know or understand. Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon. July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind. I am, and ever will be, a White Sox, pocket protector, nerdy engineer. Well, I think we tried very hard not to be overconfident, because when you get overconfident, that's when something snaps up and bites you. All in all, for someone who was immersed in, fascinated by, and dedicated to flight, I was disappointed by the wrinkle in history that had brought me along one generation late. I had missed all the great times and adventures in flight. NASA has been one of the most successful public investments in motivating students to do well and achieve all they can achieve. It's sad that we are turning the program in a direction where it will reduce the amount of motivation and stimulation it provides to young people. Yeah, I wasn't chosen to be first. I was just chosen to command that flight. Circumstance put me in that particular role. That wasn't planned by anyone. I put up my thumb and it blotted out the planet Earth. It's a brilliant surface in that sunlight. The horizon seems quite close to you because the curvature is so much more pronounced than here on Earth. It's an interesting place to be. I recommend it. The one thing I regret was that my work required an enormous amount of my time, and a lot of travel. I'm substantially concerned about the policy directions of the space agency. We have a situation in the U.S. where the White House and Congress are at odds over what the future direction should be. They're sort of playing a game and NASA is the shuttlecock that they're hitting back and forth. If that's there, I believe that technology will probably step up to their part of it. We had hundreds of thousands of people all dedicated to doing the perfect job, and I think they did about as well as anyone could ever have expected. I fully expected that, by the end of the century, we would have achieved substantially more than we actually did. As a boy, because I was born and raised in Ohio, about 60 miles north of Dayton, the legends of the Wrights have been in my memories as long as I can remember. People love conspiracy theories. I was elated, ecstatic and extremely surprised that we were successful. Science has not yet mastered prophecy. We predict too much for the next year and yet far too little for the next 10. I think we're going to the moon because it's in the nature of the human being to face challenges. It's by the nature of his deep inner soul. We're required to do these things just as salmon swim upstream. It suddenly struck me that that tiny pea, pretty and blue, was the Earth. I put up my thumb and shut one eye, and my thumb blotted out the planet Earth. I didn't feel like a giant. I felt very, very small. Research is creating new knowledge. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. I thought about it after landing, Armstrong said about his famous line. And because we had a lot of other things to do, it was not something that I really concentrated on, but just something that was kind of passing around subliminally or in the background. But it, you know, was a pretty simple statement, talking about stepping off something. Why, it wasn't a very complex thing. It was what it was. I think we're going to the moon because it's in the nature of the human being to face challenges. It's by the nature of his deep inner soul. We're required to do these things just as salmon swim upstream.